Cool. What's going on, everyone? So today, we're making it a little more fireside chat style. I think we like the structure of that one here last week as well too with Alex, and you know, we want to be able to go meet the rest of the team, and I think it's very very on brand. We got Jeff walking around the job site right now too. So you got myself, Chris, and then Jeff as well too. And today I think we really cover what the paving industry actually goes on here, right? Like on our end too. I know we've worked through a few things recently in terms of bringing the companies together, and we just want to kind of dive deep today too, and what that looks like and why it's so important to have paving expertise internally. So, Chris, I'll turn it over to you too if you kind of want to preface it of like what's been going on and why it really is so crucial on our end to really have in-depth industry experience when looking at integrating companies well, find the right companies, and all those things as well too.
When we started the Pave, we started it always with kind of like this, really the same thesis that I think a lot of other people had, which is, buy, service-based businesses that aren't the sexiest, we're not blockchain or AI or anything like that. And then go in there and roll up these companies. But I think the thing that kind of takes a lot of people by surprise. I had a background in construction before I jumped in. I had previously owned my own construction company, but I think what surprises a lot of people is just when they jump into a service-based industry, all the different kind of things that you have to deal with in terms of like employee management, personnel management, being able to understand the industry dynamics when it comes to recruiting. And so one of the things that we saw with the PAVE and why this partnership with Nationwide made so much sense for us was bringing in Jeff with that deep industry expertise, because he's able to do things because he's been in the industry for so long that we just aren't able to do as somebody who's coming in and just acquiring these companies.
Yeah, and there were a lot of things too that like Chris and I were able to go find, right? We both have financial backgrounds, both have backgrounds in M&A as well too. And there were certain things on the numbers we say, hey, this is off here. And then having, people on our team, right, like Jeff and his son Jeffrey, right, and the rest of the crew we have as well too. Like it's so helpful to them to be able to go on site and actually fix those things as well too in a really big way. But yeah, Jeff, why don't you jump in here too and kind of just give the listeners more of your background too in terms of building up Nationwide and your experience in paving as well.
Guys, so I've been doing this business since 1995. My son and daughter both are in this business through 31, 32 years old, and this is all I know is how to go out here and make this work. And the partnership of partnering with the Pave and working this thing out with these guys was a kind of a dream come true for us, just because what we know best is what's happening in the field, what's going on. I can pull up on a job and within seconds and say, hey, this needs to be fixed, or this needs to be fixed. And I think the thing is we've trained all of our team members to do that. We the way that we approach the job and put it in place with our people, it makes it easy. And so the piece that we was missing to be able to expand across the country and to do different things in the maintenance business was helping with the back end of it, the financial part that Chris and Sam, these guys brought to it that we kind of didn't have the knowledge of, going out here and putting the jobs in, understanding how it does, what it needs to be fixed, talking to the inspectors, doing all that. This is just all I've ever done. This is what I know, right? And this is, as I said, I think that helps us identify when we're looking at these companies as we're growing things and we're organically growth and we're buying new companies going in. It's easy to have, a lot of times I think when you're buying companies, all you have is what's on the paper, what you're seeing right there. Where now I feel like the way we're partnering this thing up is when we walk in the door, we can tell, is the equipment good, right? Or are they hiding something? Is this is right? Is this is wrong, right? What kind of quality of work is? Because we want to make sure as we grow across the country that we're maintaining the same kind of quality work that Nationwide puts out there, right? And that Cornerstone put out there, that folks are always coming back, because the repeat business is big for us. And signing on these customers to long-term maintenance contracts is a big thing. So I think by identifying these companies to understand that they know that and understanding where we need to go and the mentality of it makes a big difference when we're working together.
Yeah, and when you look at just also talking to owners too, right? Like, kind of help us understand what those conversations look like, right? Coming from, someone like yourself who grew up in this space for decades versus maybe a traditional private equity shop guys suited up going in there, right? They're looking to go suck the life out of the company. Like, how does that really shift for someone like yourself to go in there and really be in, lockstep with them?
Oh, I think it's a big, a, it's a big difference, right? It's just like sitting down with any of these companies and understanding, these guys understand that I know what's going on, right? I mean, I know what's going on and what's happening and what's not happening, right? And so, the main thing that I find that with us is when we go in and we're talking to these folks, they understand that. And what I understand is being in this business a long time, these employees are like family, right? And so when these big hedge fund companies come in, these private equity companies come in, they don't care about the people. They don't care who they are. And so the owners of the company, these are their family. These are guys who's been with them for years, 20, 30 years. It's just like, I got a guy been with me for 30 years now, right? Two of them. And so, I know everything about them. I know their grandkids. I know their kids. I got one kid getting ready to come into work for us. And so it's the same thing as we go at. So when I go to sit down and I'm talking to these guys, they understand that, where these private equity firms that's coming in here and doing this stuff, they don't understand that and they don't care. Right. And so the biggest thing that I found that these guys would rather sell to us at a better deal, understanding that we're here to take care of their people. We're here to grow the company. We're not just here to just take away and don't care all about the numbers. It's about putting something together, about building something great. And so it really makes it easy to come in and talk to them about it, because we got the same stories. We've done the same thing. I can talk to them about, oh, do you remember when you used to use this machine here and we had to do it by hand and we dumped it in piles? And, and so a guy's coming in, right? A guy coming in and doesn't know that. He's like, the first thing that these owners are thinking is, how are they going to run my business? They don't know how the business runs. They don't know how we put asphalt down. They don't know how we seal coat it. They don't know how we built it from a one dump truck, one shovel, one this, until hundreds of pieces of equipment, and how that worked. So it definitely gives us a heads up above everybody else, because the part where we come in and able to tell the guys, hey, we understand what you've done. We've done this, right? And now what we want to be able to do is a couple things, right? Is we want to be able to come in, right? Take the stuff off that you don't like to do, which is the stuff that I didn't like to do. I didn't want to do the back end. I didn't want to do the billing. I like going out and putting the jobs in. I like going out and talking to the customers. I like doing it. And that's what you're going to find, that 90% of these guys that's been in this business that are my age and older, that's what they always did. They just kind of forced themselves into learning the other part of it. And so when we come in and we can say, hey, you don't have to worry about chasing the money anymore. We'll handle that. You don't have to worry about the billing. Just go out there and do what you do best. Stay on with us. And I think the surprising part is the guys were like, hold up. You tell me I can still stay on. I can still help run this thing. And all I got to do is go out there and just kiss babies and shake hands and make sure the jobs go in. I don't got to worry about the insurance, this and this. No, we'll take care of that. And so to me, it's been kind of crazy just seeing their reaction of that, because it's the same reaction that I had of partner with you guys and partner with how we're growing this thing, that now I'm able to go out here and grow the company out in the field while you guys are growing the company in the back. And it's such a fit that's it's unbelievable. And so when we talk to these folks, these private equity firms, they're not saying that. Right? They're doing is sitting down in front of them and here's your numbers, this, and this, and they don't care who stays, who goes. They don't care. And so what these people, they'll take less money on the deals to understand that their people are taken care of, because they live in that community with those people. They still got to see those people at the grocery store. They still got to do that. So understanding that we're coming in there and we're a long-term play and not a short-term play to get them to just go through and cut everybody out to try to save money like most of these companies do. It's a big difference.
Totally. And I think it's a really good case study too. If you look at our, company Cornerstone down in Texas, right? Like there were 3 owners there previously when we first bought it. And all those guys were dead set on retiring, right? We're gonna go take our cash, we're gonna go leave. And you kind of walk us through like how their whole story changed the last, 6, 9 months.
Oh, it's like, say, David, for example. David's 72 years old. And the first thing David told me was, I'm out of here. He's like, 6 months, I'm gone. Y'all get this together, I'm out. Now, we came in there, and these guys, you got to think, when we got this company, these guys was working out of their kitchen, had a great business, they've been doing it as long as I've been born, 40 plus years, almost 50 years. These guys have been in this business. And so they're like, hey, we're done. We want to just go fishing, this, and this. Well, I think when we went in there and we started to show them that everything that we preached to them that we could do, that, hey, you don't have to worry about billing this no more. You don't have to worry about doing this right here. You don't have to worry about what the bond stuff is. You don't have to worry about the back end. You don't have to worry about sending out the insurance or doing the payroll or doing this stuff. And now these guys are like, David told me the other day, he says, well, I talked to my wife. I think I'm going to stay till I'm 80. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, listen, stay as long as you want. Like, listen, we could never buy the experience or get anybody with the experience that you got. So we're tickled to death. But I think it's the part of, they don't never want to quit. They just want the part of having a little bit more freedom, because you got to think, these guys, all they've ever done all their life, right, the same as me, is work. We don't know anything else but to get up and go to work every day. But we still want that little bit of freedom to go with our grandbabies, a little bit of freedom to go do our stuff if we want a day off, we can do that. And I think by us being able to put that in place, these guys have no desire to ever leave. And now we're showing them that they can make more money than they would made. They can make more money than they made as an owner, as coming in there and working on a salary and doing this. And so, man, and doing probably, like David told me the other day, he said, I probably feel like I'm doing 30% of the work that I used to do, right? And I'm having 10 times the fun I've ever had in my entire life, right? And so I think by doing that, man, it changes the whole mentality of these companies and these guys. It also gives a security with the folks who's there, right? Is they say, hey, man, if the owner's staying around, he's sticking around, this is great. This is what we want, right? And so it's a familiar feeling, and it really works out well, because it helps us. It helps us to have eyes on the ground of owners in there too, that are not just wanting to jump out and run and say, "Oh yeah, just give me the cash and go," right? And so, because most of them don't. Most of them want to stay on. They just don't understand the path of it or what their role would be. And I think we've done a great job at not going in there. We going in there and showing them, hey, it's just like going anywhere. If you're walking into the same place every single day, you're going to miss something, right? And so us coming in as fresh eyes is not making them look bad. We're just suggesting, hey, we need to make some changes here, do this here. This is how we get more profitable. This is how we should be able to move forward in doing things. It starts to open their eyes. They're like, man, I thought about that, but I didn't know how to put it in place, and by us being able to put some of these new technologies in the field that some of these old timers haven't used, and some of new equipment, and adding in some stuff and saying, hey, I think you can be more efficient if you do this. And, and so when you do that, it makes a change, and it just makes it fun for them. It makes it fun for us too, because now you got guys down there who know how to run it, who care, who love doing this business, and they start to fall back in love with it. The same as I did.
Totally. Yeah. It's a really great point too. It's like a lot of these guys in their end, they're doing all these things that are just outside of their zone of genius, right? In their background, they're working on all these things that are just, not fun to them to go do it. Right. I think we're seeing really great buy-in across the board. So, kind of talk more on the due diligence side, right? You're on site talking to a new company that we're looking at. How do you go really get a feel for who that owner is, right? How bought in they are, what path they want to go take, right? Kind of making sure that there's alignment across the board too, as we look at this next 3, 5, 10 years going forward.
I think the one thing that we're really good at is the team that goes out, and the team that goes with me is we're good at going out and having our individual conversations with the employees, and they'll tell you everything, right? They'll tell you the mentality. They'll tell you if the owner's good. They'll tell you if because what you're going to find out is they're either going to love the owner and love working there, right? Or they're either going to hate the owner and then going to tell you everything. And so either way, they both tell you everything. And then you just kind of figure out what the pain points are. And right. And is it equipment? And a lot of times is what we found is this right here is what we found is a lot of times it's equipment issues. It's like, hey, we could get more jobs done if we had better equipment. But the owner, sometimes they have the old mindset of saying, oh man, I don't know if I want to spend $150,000 on that piece of equipment right now, even though they're making plenty of cash flow to be able to do it, right? They just can't think about spending it, or they don't understand the part of, hey, spending $150,000 to have an in-house accounting in there, understanding this, right? Because they're like, I believe I could do that on my side time or this or that. And so what we find is a lot of times they're just wearing too many hats, way too many hats. And the employees will end up telling us that. The employees going out and doing the due diligence, they'll end up saying, yep, he's out here trying to ride the paver. He's out here taking the telephone calls. Then he goes in the evening and does the sales calls. And it's just like one we was talking to the other day. The guy was out there literally, right? This is a $20 million company. He's out there literally greasing it himself, putting grease in, right? And doing this stuff where, that's fine if you don't have anything else to do. But, if you got something else to be making the company more money, but a lot of times they just can't get out of the part of paying people and understanding that. So when we go through the due diligence part, we try to figure out where their mindset is, where the owner's mindset is of how he runs his company. Is he running it because he just thinks that he needs to be the one controlling everything, or he thinks he can't afford to pay somebody else to do it? And so when you find out, a lot of times I think when we go to them and we show there's a path of being able to afford to pay people to do this other stuff, right? Then they're like, man, okay, yeah, why have I been doing this the whole time? You know what I'm saying? And so I think when we go through that, we get into the equipment. We're really big into the employees trying to figure out, because they're the ones working this equipment every day, right? And that's a big due diligence thing. I think when you buy a company, all you can go by, and a lot of these hedge funds is where I feel like they get burnt. And even in the Pave America side, I see I got a guy that's a buddy of mine that's over there, and he's like, Jeff, he said, you know how many companies we got burned on because we didn't have anybody who knew stuff about equipment? We went off of, okay, here's an appraisal for equipment. It's $2 million worth of equipment. Then when we get out there, the equipment's junk, right? You're spending $700,000 or $800,000 on a capex to just go fix the equipment to get through the work. And these guys are just, basically, trying to make it work together every day to hold it together. And so I think with us, we're able to identify that instantly. We're able to go out, find out if that's a good roller, find out if that's a good paver. How's it laying a mat? How's it looking, right? Take our time, get Jeffrey out there to understand if machines need work, right? We bring our own in-house mechanic with us, right? So we're not just taking an appraisal that who knows who it came by. We're going off of what we know the value is and what we could sell it for too. So I think that's a big difference in what we do than what a lot of other companies do out there too.
And how are you looking at equipment too? I know, Chris, we talked about this a lot too, is that what we've seen is that new equipment just is far better overall, and kind of looking at the ability to not have downtime. How do you think about due diligence on equipment too, in terms of, fixing up stuff that may be a little bit old or going out and buying new consistently?
So to me, I think you look at it both ways, right? And so when I think if, say, just for instance, something easy, if you're looking at a roller and the roller is $100,000, but you can spend $15,000 on getting it fixed and ready to go, right? And to get another 3 years out of it, then you justify that, right? Because why spend the money if you can get 3 years out of it? Because it's going to do the same rolling as the new roller coming. But if it's $100,000 roller and it's breaking down every day and it's an electronic issue and it's this and there's something going on and you're losing money for it, and now you're going to spend $30,000-$40,000 chasing it, dump it, sell it off, liquidate it, take the capital that you're getting there, go put towards a roller and move on to something new. Because time is everything in this business, right? We're fighting against everything. We're fighting against the daylight. We're fighting against the rain. We're fighting against other contractors getting their work done on time. And so we're moving in and out. So what we don't have to do in our space, we're the last guys in, right? We're the paving. We're the ones that make it look pretty. We're the concrete. We're the finish up part. The building's up. Everything's done. We're the guy that comes in, gets it done, stripes it, seals coats it, gets it looking pretty. So we can't afford to have any downtime, right? And if we do, then we're the worst company in the world, because they're thinking we're the ones holding them up, right? And even though they've had 6 months of delays everywhere else, we're the last guy. Y'all holding us up. You're holding us up. So I think when we roll in, and I think we're really good at this. We're super good at making sure that we keep our maintenance up on all of our equipment, but it's best to just roll in with something nice and new, in and out, under warranty. When the warranty starts to run out, right? Upgrade it, trade it, and move to the next thing. Because the key is time, right? In, out, and move to the next job.
Yeah, and Chris too, on your end, right? Like kind of leading the whole financial background of the firm as well, right? how you and Jeff really worked well together to go, optimize the financial side, right? To go find and then actually fix things as well.
Yeah, I think that one of the ways that Jeff and I work really well together is I'll be able to look more from a financial analysis standpoint at different parts of the business and different, kind of line items and say, hey, this seems a little bit off, or this business doesn't seem to be functioning in this area right, just compared to, the different percentages that it should be relative to like revenue or something like that. And then I can get Jeff in. We've got a big couch in my office that Jeff will just come in. We have a big whiteboard and we'll just be able to go through it. And then Jeff is able to really go look and find those things in the company and be like, oh, hey, this isn't operating right. And then it also works on the other way around where Jeff says, hey, I don't think this part of the company is running quite right. Can you check out this thing and can we run down and see exactly where we can, put the issue is? Because when you're running a big company, like how we're doing right now, where we're doing work in multiple states. We have, a bunch of different employees and a bunch of different equipment always moving across the country. It can be complex and it can be a lot to try to figure out where you can make the business more efficient. But when you combine kind of that financial side of the house with the industry expertise, we found that it's a way that we can really drive a lot of value in terms of creating additional value for shareholders.
And what are a few of those things that you've actually found, right? Like give us an example of like, hey, we found this and this is how we went and got and fixed, or this is how we found incremental revenue or profitability behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a great one was, Jeff and I were talking about the margins at our company in Texas, and the margins were low, right? And it was like, why are these margins a little lower than what, we feel like they should be? Jeff went in there and he identified, a bunch of different areas that we were missing on. And Jeff, I can let you talk about it, but the two that come to my mind were, one, we weren't putting any markup on any of the subcontracted concrete. And then two, we were paying a subcontractor to do work that we could have taken and performed in-house, and that would have saved a bunch of money. But Jeff, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So a couple things that I think, one, because of the contracts that we were getting on the paving side, and we didn't have a concrete division at the time down there, is they was subbing it out and it was going against our bond. We was doing about $6 million worth of the concrete work, and they was just basically subbing it out with no margins on it, right? Just because that was part of getting the job. You couldn't have, they wouldn't issue the job to us unless we took both scopes, the patching of the concrete and also the paving. And so they would say, oh, no, you know what? Well, to me, that was crazy. Like that's just the way they had always done it for 30 years. They've been doing it the same way. They never changed it. I'm like, guys, we're not in the business of not making money. We're not in the business of tying up funds and tying up stuff to not make money. So we instantly changed that and took that to a 20% margin right off the bat. We had no problem on changing it. Didn't have any pushback. And the guys was like, I never forget Alan's face. He was like, wish we'd have done that years ago. You know what I'm saying? He was like, I didn't think these guys would take the jobs I was like, of course they'll take the jobs. There was plenty of margins in them. For years, they've been getting all the margins, and we're not making anything. We're in the business of making money, and then I think the one thing that we found is because, just like I was saying earlier, is these guys are so used to doing a certain way. They've been doing it that way for 30 years and not understanding. We had been subbing out all the traffic control down there, and it had started creeping up, and any given day we could have 4 or 5 different sites going at traffic control that was costing us about $5,500 a day in traffic control. And so I was like, guys, there's just no way. That's crazy for traffic control when we can do it in-house way cheaper. We're doing it everywhere else, cheaper. So we went back and started looking at it. Now we took that cost from $5,500 to $2,400 a day, right? Times 4 or 5 jobs a day on traffic control. So you're talking about a $10,000 a day savings, somewhere roughly in there on an average 5 days a week, right? And so it's a big difference in how we do it. And then I think the one thing, going back to the equipment that we identified in Texas, is when you're doing DOT work, it's not like a lot of the maintenance on like commercial stuff. They're really strict on temperature control. And so this is when you start to say, like, the new technology comes in, because these guys was missing days of work. We was averaging 15 days or 16 days a month, right, of total work due to weather, through the seasons of October to March, right? And sometimes less than that, because of control on the asphalt. And so we instantly went out, and I was like, guys, there's a workaround with this. There's a new paving machine that you put down that gives you the temperature controls and keeps it coming out the back end, that you're flagging out, it's putting out the report, so the DOT knows the report's right and does all this. So we instantly said, hey, let's sell this one piece of equipment, take the money, invest it back into this piece of equipment. And as we did that, we went down and added on a new $1 million paver, and then our work increased, because now we was able to work through the winter on days that we wasn't able to work before, right? Just by adding a new piece of equipment. So I think a lot of times we're able to identify that stuff, and Chris and them's teams understand, hey, I'll bring the ideal to them, and I say, hey guys, we need this paver. This is why we need this paver. We can get 4 more days or 5 more days a month, right? Does it make sense to buy this based upon productivity on what we're putting down? And so then it makes it nice for me, because I can now drop it on Chris and them's plate on their team, and they're like, hey, hold up. Yes, you can actually pay for this paver in 8 months, you know what I'm saying, and get it if we add this paver. So, and that's kind of, I think that's a big thing, and what we do too is being able to kind of look at things at a 50,000 foot view that these owners haven't never done, because they're always used to doing it, and saying, let's make a few changes here. And those few changes make such a difference in our margins. It's crazy on the difference that it makes just by making slight changes. And so you don't have to go in there and rock the boat or make an old owner look bad, by saying, hey, we need to make this change because you didn't do it right. That's not how we operate. We need to go in and work with these guys hand in hand, show them a few new things. And it's like teaching the old dog new tricks, right? And showing them that there is some stuff out there. There is some AI stuff. There is some new equipment. There's stuff that can make their job easier, make their job faster. And it really works out well.
I'd say one more thing too is when you look at like the portfolio integration, right, between the companies that we're acquiring, I think now we're seeing a lot of benefits between different companies. So kind of walk us through how you think about a new acquisition, kind of how it fits into the scale of the portfolio, right? Like I tend to think of it from the lens of, 1 + 1 = 3, 4, 5, 6 instead of 2. And so how do you kind of look at what makes sense to go keep buying in the future, right? If you look at the different areas of the equation in terms of vertical integration, like what do you see going forward as to where we can keep adding on to that, right? Or where each company starts feeding each other more and more so? Do you do that and focus on geography, types of work? Like what do you see mostly kind of looking at platforms?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're really focused right now is building density and geography, right? So if you look at the Texas market, Texas is really, really big, and there's a lot of opportunity there. And so, the goal right now when we're looking at what companies we're buying is we're really wanting to build that density in Texas. And here's where most of the synergies happen when you have that, right? Is if I have 2 companies and they're geographically close to each other, then we can consolidate all sorts of operations, right? We can bring them into one yard. We can share equipment. We can have the same accountant be able to manage both both entities. We're able to have the same, corporate infrastructure and executive team to be able to manage those companies as well. And that can really decrease the SG&A costs of the company. And so when we look at that and when we focus on, particularly right now on density, what we're really trying to do is pull these companies in and be able to share resources and get some economy of scale so that we can increase the margin. And it really is that simple. It's identifying what resources can be shared, what can be more efficient, and then you bring it all together and recognize and realize those efficiencies.
Yeah, and let me just weigh in on this too, Sam, is I think the one thing when we're looking at these companies is, that we're trying to trying to fulfill what our customers already that we know are corporate customers. Like, we won several states of all the Wells Fargo's banks of the maintenance part of it. So we're also understanding the companies that we won are, our big part of we really push the maintenance for long-term contracts, for 4 or 5 year contracts, for seal coating the parking lots, striping the parking lots, and being that whatever they need, one stop does it all call. So when they call us, if they need something done in the concrete part of it, we already have that company that's in-house that we're doing the concrete. If they need something done on the striping, we already have that in-house. We're doing that in-house, or the paving or whatever it is. So we're trying to also fit it on the Geographic side, but to the scope too, to what we already know that we do every single day, right? And so the companies that we're looking to add in is people that can fulfill those contracts that we already know we have, customers we've been having for years. And as we add these customers on, that it fits right into what we're doing already, and it really kind of works out well because, like Chris said, most of these companies will come on with $6, $7, $8, $10 million in backlog, and we're able to sort of start to run through that backlog because a lot of times in this world, what you find is when you're getting a job, when these companies are getting a job, they're a lot of times taking on scope of work that they normally are not used to doing, right? They'll say, well, just like, hey, you got to take the concrete with the paving. And so that concrete company does concrete, but they don't do the paving part of it. And so for us, now we can say, hey, you know what? We're going to take that and give that to our sister company right down the street here who's going to do the paving, and it's all still going to be in-house. It's all still going to flow to us, but we're getting the job done 10 times quicker. The customer loves it because it's all the same company, and we're moving through the work as fast as you can get through it. And then it allows us to, take on more customers, take on more what they have. And a lot of these companies, especially on the maintenance side, is in a rating system where they rate you. How fast do you get the proposal out? How fast do you get the job done? And so the faster you get it done with these, that these CBREs and the Wells Fargos and the people like that of the world, they rate you. Well, as soon as they send over the work order, how fast do you get it done? What's the scope look like? What's the pictures look like? All this stuff, and then here comes more stuff in down the line. So it really works out good on putting these companies together to fit into the scope as well as where we're doing it at.
Something here too is, right, when you talk about speed of bidding, speed of quoting, right, to go to execute quickly, like what are certain things that you put in place to allow us to be really competitive and looking at in that area?
So I think the thing that, if you go back and you think about something, I think this is, and I'm super proud of this because, it took me years to get this in place, but I think the one thing, when you go back and you think of any job, it doesn't matter what the job was at your personal home, right? If you was calling somebody out to get an estimate on a roof, or you was calling somebody out to just fix some plumbing or whatever it is, right? Pave your driveway or concrete or whatever it is, right? Normally, when you call somebody, first of all, you got to call 20 people, right, to get one person to come out. And normally when they come out, it takes a week to week and a half to get it out. The one thing, doesn't matter where it's at in the country with us, right? Doesn't matter if it's in South Dakota, if it's in Michigan, if it's in Florida, wherever it's at, is a customer calls in, one of our national customers call in, and we have tons of them, is they, within 24 hours of the call in, we have a proposal back on their desk, right? We have one secured a deal with a national company that we're having exclusive rights of any project out there that's called into us. We can have somebody on the ground, right, within 12 or 13 hours, doing all the measurements, taking the pictures, doing everything we need to be able to build a scope of work for those guys. Because about 85% of all the work that we do is maintenance work, right, which is high margin maintenance work. And so the customer doesn't know what they need. They just know they have a pothole that somebody fell in that Morgan & Morgan's getting ready to sue them over. And so first thing they do is call in and say, hey, I got a job that needs to be done, and here's my budget, And so instantly going back to that, this company that we've done this deal with has somebody on the ground, has the pictures, and then we're able to get that scope where any other company, doesn't matter. It's 2 weeks getting the thing. Time you get somebody out there, time they go it, time they get to it, then they have to decide if they even want to do the job, right? Our total cost on that, which is unbelievable, is less than $50 to get that proposal to the customer in 24 hours, right? Now, here's the nice thing is our scope of work, we can have it. So from the time that they get the job on maintenance work, the time they get the job, as long as the customer's ready to go, we can have that job completed within 14 days. At the worst case scenario, right? And, most of the time it's within 7 days, we can have a team out there to fix it, do whatever needs to be done. And so that, to us, that's unheard of, right? And I think we maintain that speed the way we do it. As we grow across it, it gets even better than what it is now. But most jobs, you could be 30, 60, 90 days before somebody even gets out there and fix it. Well, our customers can't handle that, right? They've already had somebody. When they're calling us, they've already had somebody fall. They've already had a problem. They've already had this. They need it done now. And they don't care to pay for that, And so, now it's just, here's what we got. Here's what we need to get done. And most of the people who are calling are regional guys or district managers, and it's been put on their desk and says, hey, get this fixed and get it fixed now. So it kind of works out well for us and our on what we do.
How do you handle logistics of all that too, right? Because your headquarters is based in Ocala, Florida, right? So like, how do you go handle logistics, get people out there really quick to go execute jobs?
So we're really good. A couple things. One, we've got a national data bank of subs that we've already vented through. We have them in place that we use, right? But about 85% to 90% of the work we complete in-house. Doesn't matter where it's at, right? We're really good at, we really got extremely well at being able to get across the country fairly fast and add something in to our track. Most of our guys are on the road about 33 weeks a year, right? I'm proud to say we're the highest paying paving company in the United States. We pay our people more than everybody, but we don't have no turnover. We have no turnover. People can come here and work and have a great life and enjoy life and make money, right? And so that's the key to it, is being able to put these jobs in place and pay the people the right money. They'll go out here and they'll knock it down. But when we do something, there's been times that we've actually flew a guy, because it's just about logistics. It's just about understanding where you're margining in the back end of every single job. Is there might be a pothole that's a 2x2, right? And just for example, we just did this at a CVS in Buffalo, New York, right? Pothole needed to be fixed. It was a 2x2, and then they had a piece of concrete that needed to be grinded that somebody had fell on, right? We priced the job for $15,000, right? Simple job, needed to be done. We ended up flying one man, right, from Ocala, right, up to Buffalo, New York, right? He flies up, he gets off the thing, he Ubers over to Home Depot, he rents the tools that we need to fix, right? And he goes in, gets the tools he needs to fix, goes and fixes it, patches the hole on the temporary patch, gets it all done, right? We donate the tools, he Ubers back, right? We rent the truck at Home Depot for $19 a day, right? Rent the truck for $19 a day, right? And he's there for a few hours, fixes everything, takes the truck back, Ubers back to the airport back in the same day, right? We're all in on that job, $1,700 and some dollars. That's everything. So I think it just goes back to, a lot of guys will pass up on stuff because they don't want to put the thought into how to get it done, right? And so where we really flourish is the CVSs of the world and the Home Depots, the Walgreens, the customers that we have, these banks and different things, is they can call us, and it doesn't matter. We're going to go get it fixed, right? And we're going to get it done, and we're going to figure out how to do it and make profit on it. We're not in the business of not making money. We're in the business of making money, right? So a lot of times people think, well, you got to go across the country. We'll go across the country with a 3500 series truck set up behind on a maintenance team. It might be a 3500 series truck with a dump trailer behind it with a skid steer in there, and it's a 2-man team that's going out, and they're what we call stacking jobs, and they'll stack jobs that have 10 jobs on that route, and they'll go get them done, right? And then that's kind of how they are. And then there's something comes across the board, we'll add it into it. So it's just about logistics, understanding how to get across the country. If there's something that's far out that you can't get to, right? And you got to think, most of these companies' expectations are you don't get to it for a month or two, right? And so when we're getting it to within a 2-week period, instantly they become a forever customer. So it makes it nice to be able to, go out there and knock it out, get it done, and stay on track. And I think the system too, Sam, that maybe most people don't understand, we're really good at documenting everything. Our customers, when our customers, from the time that's in, they have a portal they can log into. They can see everything from the scope of the work, what their price is. They can see pictures, live update. So when the guys get on a job, they know we geofence every single job, so they have a link to that job. So they don't have to call us if they want to know where the crew is. They know where the crew is. If the crew leaves the job, it instantly sends a link. right, to us and lets us know, hey, crew just left the job, or they left the job more than 20 minutes. Or so there's never a question on where our people's at. They know right where they're at. Everything's geo-fenced, everybody knows where everything's going on. But the nice thing is, all throughout the job, from the start to the finish, when our guys get the job, we have trained our people. They take pictures of everything. The customer sees it, and I mean everything from the sidewalk to the trash that's already in the parking lot, everything. Because we don't want nobody to say that our guys did anything wrong when they got there. We don't want to say, oh, they just. We want to be able to have it documented. We don't let our guys, if they're doing a Taco Bell, we don't let our guys go in and use the bathroom at a Taco Bell, right? We don't let them go in and do nothing. They go in, talk to the manager, say, we're on site, and they do this. We don't want nobody to say, hey, they went and washed their hands in the sink and made a mess, right? They need to use the bathroom. They go down the street to use the bathroom. And so the reason we do that is because we're there for a job. We're there. We want to get in, we want to get out, and we want to get it done, right? And so it just makes a difference in the customer's experience that, hey, they have a live updated picture every few minutes. It doesn't matter what's going on. The guys are snapping pictures on their phones. It's uploading automatically. And if a customer requires, say it's a little bit bigger job, it's $65,000, $70,000 job. If the customer has Wi-Fi, we can actually set up a webcam on them and they can log in live from wherever they're at in the country, because most of our customers have multiple locations. So if they want that, they can log in. So these services are stuff that we offer that no one else is really out there doing. So it makes it nice to be able to pick up work, because as soon as they tell, hey, their friend this, and then, hey, can you come do mine? Can you get this? Would you be interested in looking at our projects? So it's just a process of what we're doing.
Cool. I like it. And before we wrap up here too, Chris, anything on your end to go add?
I mean, it works is all we can. Nationwide does it a different way. And as somebody who's underwritten literally hundreds of paving companies, where I've talked to these owners, I've gotten deep in their financials, I've understood their processes. Nationwide is 100% unique. They are one of one in terms of everything that Jeff just said. A lot of people in the industry aren't doing it. And the truth is, a lot of people in the industry are just happy with the amount of money they're making, just happy with the size of company that they have. And they're not motivated to do anything more than they've already got going on. And really, the first time I had met Jeff, and he told me that his margins on his projects were what they were. And I was like, ah, all right, buddy. Like, we've seen this. I've had a lot of people tell me that. But I tell you what, I spent so much time in those financials, and I had to go back to Jeff and I said, hey, I actually think it's a little bit higher than what you said. I think you lowballed me a little bit on that. I think it actually might be just a little bit higher. And so I think, from Jeff, one of the unique skill sets that Jeff has is Jeff is very good at selling. And the truth is a lot of these paving owners, they don't understand salesmanship. They don't understand the customer experience. All they understand is really laying down the asphalt. And so, that dimension has really set Nationwide apart as a company, especially with all the companies that I've seen.
Cool. I like it. Well, guys, thanks for coming on. I know Jeff, you're in the field right now too, so we will run this back again here soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see y'all later. Have a good day.